Hello everyone, it's me, Kiramango, and I'm back with another card review. Today we're reviewing the Return of Glory set, extra cards, Rebirth of Glory. I'm really tired. Alright, let's go. We have the Bloodcraft Legendary, 3 play.33, Tista, Wings of Mercy. She has no effect until you evolve her. When you evolve her, you give your leader the following effect during a turn. Whenever a follower is added to your hand from anywhere but your deck, give the follower +1/+1. This effect is not stackable and lasts until the rest of the match. So this works for anything that generates like a fairy or any other token into your hand. They give it +1/+1. It also works on things that you bounce back to your hand. Let's say Rhino Roach, or anything you use a bounce spell on. It looks like a decent effect. Issue is that your fairies being tutus isn't actually that impressive in the current state of the game. A lot of decks are already cheating out multiple followers for cheap. Haven's making their tutus really strong. Like they're making like way bigger than just a tutu. Rune is already cheating out stuff while doing other things like drawing cards. So just because you're cheating, not really cheating, just because you're buffing your stuff doesn't mean it's actually going to make that much of an impact compared to other decks that are already doing this and more. This also requires an evolve. The evolve's not that bad because it is a 3 play.33, so you are getting decent stats for your evolve. You're just not getting other tempo on the same evolve. Though I don't think this card's that bad. Like currently, if you try to make a mid-range Forestcraft deck, maybe you'll get some success with this, but not. I can't see that much. It probably goes into a Rhino Roach deck where you can buff your Rhino Roach a little bit faster. It doesn't increase the amount of time it takes to get it doesn't decrease the amount of time it takes to get the Rhino Roach out. You still have to bounce the Rhino Roach a certain amount of times. You still have to play it 5 times or 4 times first, and then on the 5th time you can start getting the Storm, and you still would need 3 roaches to OTK. This might allow you to get maybe 1 or 2 roaches to OTK instead of having to get 3. It's possible, but still a little difficult. So currently, I don't think she's that powerful, but in the future she might be. Next we have Eager Alf, 1 play.11, with Invocation. When you have played your 4th card this turn, put this card from your deck into play, and then return to your hand. So it's kind of a weird way of getting around of Invocation to hand. They just put onto the board, then your hand doesn't really change much other than like triggers or something. Like instead of just going straight to your hand, it goes to the board, which will trigger like a Urias or something. But really, it just you can get her into your hand if you played your 4th card. And then, if at least 4 other cards were played this turn, deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower. So that's a lot. You have to play 5 cards in a turn. Like she has to be your 5th card, which is a lot. Forest obviously has ways of getting around this, like a lot of 1/1, some 0-cost followers. It's still pretty tough to get this to work. So you have to play some kind of combo deck. Maybe like a Rhino Roach deck that has a bunch of fairies for combo, some wisps maybe. But yeah, it's a lot of work. If you already have a deck that's doing that, if you already have a deck that's playing a bunch of 1-cost cards, a lot of 0-cost cards, then she just goes into that deck. But right now we don't really have something like that other than Rhino Roach, which still isn't a complete deck, I think, in rotation. The issue it also has if you want to play it in Rhino Roach deck is that it is a 1-cost card, so you can pull it off of Lisa instead of your Rhino Roach when you probably want to be drawing your Rhino Roach really early. So I don't even think it goes into that deck as long as Lisa's around. So I don't really see a place for her currently, but she does have a very powerful effect if you are able to activate it consistently. Next we have Everlasting Castle. Use X, it's an amulet, it costs 0. Fanfare, use X play points to put a random follower that costs X play points from your deck into play. X equals the remaining play points. Any turn of your 10th turn or later, summon a Steelclad Knight. So this is just, think of it as X. You just pay X cost. It uses up all of your play points, and you get a follower of that play point. So it's pretty good for just carving out properly. The issue is that you get this amulet on the board, which doesn't really do anything. Like, yeah, turn 10 or later you get a Steelclad Knight every turn, but like the game's not gonna last that long. Games of Shadowverse end much earlier than like after 10. Like there's like hard finishers that are meant to end the game on turn 10, so I don't see this getting you any value from the Steelclad Knights. Steelclad Knight just a 2 play point 2/2. It's not anything impressive. But what the real thing that you want to use this for is probably use it to find a Leode for the Leode OTK combo deck. So it's usually gonna pull that. Maybe it lets you put other followers in your deck just so you have options of pulling them out. But aside from that, I don't see much use for this card because in a traditional mid-range Swordcraft deck, you want to have as many slots on the board as you can for tokens, and this eats up a slot on your board, so it doesn't seem that good. Next we have Honored Front Guard General, 7 play point 5/6 with Ward. Can't be targeted by enemy spells and effects. Already pretty strong. And last words, summon a Shield Guardian and give it +X/+X. X equals the number of times that allied followers evolve during this match. So we've seen this card before. Front Guard General. This guy's a little stronger because instead of giving you a 2/3, on average, I expect him to give you a 4/4. Because this should be, if you're going second, it should be your third evolve. If you're going first, you probably got some kind of extra evolve because you're playing an evolve deck. So I think on average it could be a 4/4 on turn 7. Which is like pretty good. They can't be targeted by enemy spells and effects. It really hurts like Spell Boost Rune. Like this is really good against Spell Boost Rune. You can't be banished by Angelic Smite, which is really good. It still dies pretty quickly to Techno Lord and to the Machina Golem that Rune has. So it dies to pings from Machina decks pretty fast. Though the extra body is nice because it forces the opponent to have some more removal. But I don't expect this to just be invincible. Yeah, it's pretty strong. Of course, I don't think it really faces the Machina decks that well, which look to burn through your board really efficiently and go face. So maybe it also kind of gets like outclassed as a follower against Elena Haven. Like that deck will make followers that are much bigger than this during this point of the game. Also, something like Kel could burn through your Front Guard General in like just like 3 heals. So we'll see. I think it's a pretty strong card. The meta right now is really high power, so I don't know. It like has to be super good to see play. Also known as Commander. It doesn't really matter that much, I think. Other than it gets pulled by the 1 cost spell. Alright. Moving on. Golem Squad, a 3 play point legendary spell. Not many legendary spells in the game. This is one of them. If this card has been spell boosted 5 times or less, summon a Clay Golem and a Scrap Golem. Clay Golem is a 2/2, and Scrap Golem is a 0/2 with Ward. You can see in the art here, we have the Clay Golem and the Scrap Golem. If this card has been spell boosted 6 to 11 times, summon a Guardian Golem and a Clay Golem. Guardian Golem is 3/3 with Ward. You can see him right here. If this card has been spell boosted 12 times or more, summon a Ultimate Clay Golem and a Guardian Golem. The Ultimate Clay Golem is this big chungus 5/5. This follower can evolve for 0 evolve points. That's pretty nice. And evolve, give your leader the following effect: whenever an allied Clay Golem comes into play, transform it into an Ultimate Clay Golem. You get a lot of value. So these little dudes will become Ultimate Clay Golems. It seems like a pretty powerful effect, but it requires a lot of spell boosting. So you have to get it in your hand early, or like play Riao and draw it later in the game. So I think Spell Boost Rune really doesn't care about like this card. It'd rather just be focused on its game plan it has right now, which is just get a lot of Zealots and Truth Junction and kill your opponent with that. This seems like a pretty good value card, but it requires a lot of spell boosting. So, and it really just doesn't do anything in your hand until like much later in the game. Potentially strong if the game was in a current state where playing followers and trading with followers and evolving over followers was the meta, but it's not really the meta right now. The meta is just kind of, I play my stuff and the opponent clears my stuff and I clear their stuff, and then we start going face. So it's that doesn't really fit that game plan of value. Next we have Leve. He is back for his 3rd iteration. I guess this is this younger Leve or this middle-aged Leve? I don't know. The 4 play point 3/3. With Fanfare, deal X damage to an enemy follower. X equals 2 times the number of allied amulets in play. So expected to do like maybe 4 damage. 2 damage on average, 4 damage potentially. Yeah, maybe 4 damage if you want to curve out with amulets. Evolve Earthright, put a random Earth Sigil and a random card with Earthright from your deck in their hand. That's pretty good. So you get to replace the Earthright that you spend on the Evo, and you get another card with Earthright. So I don't know, you're playing an Earthright deck, you're probably gonna be drawing something important. You could tune your deck to tutor certain cards, but I feel like it's kind of hard in an Earthright deck. He's pretty powerful. Like imagine just him having a 3/3 for 4 that does a 4 damage nuke. That's pretty good. Though again, that single target removal isn't as good as other cards that you currently have, which are a lot of AoE removal and a lot of like really cheap pings. Like Rune can already do 2 damage for 0 play points and draw a card, so it's the difference between 4 damage for 4 and 2 damage for 0 is like kind of big, right? So removal is really cheap right now. I don't know if this guy is worth it at the moment. Next up we have Elia, Devoted Knight, 6 play point 4/4. Fanfare, get an empty playpoint orb and recover 3 play points. So she's kind of like you can't play her as a 3 play point 4/4, but imagine she's just a 3 play point 4/4. And that gives you an evolve point, which is pretty powerful, though you can't play her on curve. Evolve, if you have at least 6 play points, use 6 play points, summon a Devoted Dragon. Reduce damage his follower to 0 while an allied devoted dragon is in play. So if you have 9 play points, you can play an Evolve her and get the devoted dragon. Devoted dragon is a 6/6, and it gains Bane and Ward when an allied devoted knight is in play. So that's pretty good. The best part is that she doesn't take damage, so something like a Techno Lord will have a hard time clearing Elia and Devoted Dragon at the same time, because every time it pings her, it does 0 damage. She's pretty good against that. Because there's 2 pretty big bodies, she's also pretty resilient to something like a Angelic Smite. Only issue is you have to have an Evolve point and 9 play points, which might be pretty tough to save your Evolve point for that part of the game. And that part of the game, it might not even matter. It might be like opponent's already so far ahead that it might be an issue just even like having this card survive, or having you survive, really. So I think as her fanfare effect is pretty powerful. I think she's going to be played just for that. For the Evolve, you have to be pretty hopeful to get this to work, but when it does work, she'll be pretty powerful. So she's a decent card in your deck, and she has the potential to high roll, so I think that makes her really good. Ian, Dragon Buster, a 4 play point 3/3 with choose, change this follower into Ian and Adele, Newlyweds, or summon enemy Adele Jealous Dragon. Evolve, deal 3 damage to enemy follower. So he's with his waifu dragon here. He's getting married to his dragon, I guess. He gains Ward and Drain, and when you evolve him, return all other allied followers to her hand. I guess because she doesn't want any other followers around, she just wants him alone, I guess. Yeah, it's a nice heal. The evolve effect kind of feels bad if you're winning on the board, so you don't really want to actually evolve him if you're winning on board. So there's that. It's kind of a weird card. A Jealous Dragon. She's a 3/3. You put it on the opponent's board, remember. And last words deal damage to all allies. So you put it on the opponent's board, and then you destroy it with his evolve effect. And maybe you can board clear them. So it's a really weird board clear. So it is a 2 damage board cleared. It hits only the opponent's board on the evolve, which is fine, but it's not as good as it seems. So it has flexibility. Like, opponent has a 5/5, you can do the 3 damage to the 5/5 and then evolve over the Adele and clear the 5/5. So there's like different things you can do like that. But if you just compare it to like Kel just does 2 damage to all opponent's stuff, and then continues to do 2 damage to opponent's stuff as long as you have heals. So board clear wise, I don't think it's as good as other classes. But it's just not terrible. And you have the option for healing, so that's the flexibility. That's probably not going to see play currently. Next we have Lara Soultaker, 4 play point 4/4. Fanfare, randomly put a copy of an allied follower, except Lara, that was destroyed during this turn to your hand. Change cost to 0 and give it the following effect: destroy this follower at the end of your turn. So, pretty cool card. So you play her, then you want to destroy something on the same turn, so you're probably going to Burial Rite it. So Burial Rite will destroy the follower, and then you get a copy of that follower into your hand. So something like, the first thing that comes to my mind is play with Hades, because what you can do is you can destroy your Hades, then play your Hades with 0. It will get the last word effect where you gain 6 shadows and put the PTP on board. So it's a pretty good way to getting some shadows while putting a PTP on board at the same time. It's just a lot of setup because you have to have Lara, a card for Bloodcraft, and Hades in the same hand, so it requires a lot. Though if you already are playing those cards, you might just as well put Lara in your deck anyways. We also do is stuff like Tartarus. Tartarus is a 1 play point XL that will just put a Tartarus in the grave right away, so you get Tartarus right to your hand immediately. You don't have to have a Bloodcraft card to do that. The only issue is that Tartarus doesn't really do much on a fanfare. He has a powerful evolve effect, so you can use that and clear the board, but then it doesn't really stick around unless you have Sonnet of Silence. So if you have a way of silencing him as well, then you can keep the body, because you can silence the destroy the follower at end of turn effect. So there's a lot of different ways of using this. It just like they all seem really powerful, but they all require a lot of setup. And a lot of the cards are really bad by themselves without her. So if you could guarantee that you always had her in your hand, then you can play a bunch of cool cards that combo off with her. But if you don't draw her, those cards really suck. So the only way I think you can play her right now is if you have a deck that already has a decent win con. You can play this as a secondary win con or as a way of setting up that win con. But yeah, she's a really powerful card. It just requires a lot of setup. I'm kind of surprised they didn't actually give her an extra effect on Evolve that like helps her set this up a little easier. Because it's like right now, I think she's almost unplayable in a competitive deck because it's just consistency is in there. Next, we have Sora, Arcane Fist. She's a 3 play point 2/2. She only gains 1/1 on her evolve. I don't know why they did that. Side games why. Fanfare Necromancy 4, gain +2/+2. That's pretty expensive for this effect. A lot of shadows. So immediately you think, oh, I can't play her in a Hades deck. Yeah, do that. You can't play her in a Hades deck because she's Necromancy. Evolve, deal X damage to enemy follower. X equals this follower's attack. So if you have 4 shadows, it'll be a 5/5. So you do evolve and do 5 damage something. Yeah, that's pretty good for a 2 play point card. That's pretty strong. That's strong, but like I feel other classes are already doing way more powerful things and getting full evolve stats. I don't know why this didn't get full evolve stats. I guess a 6/6 that does that would be pretty good. Like, really good. But it'd probably be in line with the other things that we have in the game. Like, you can already do that with like a Vera and a Wings of Lust. You can already get like a pretty strong follower out, like a 6/6 that can't be destroyed easily. It's not like the Shadow would have abused this if it was a 4/4 on Evolve. It just like really makes you want to use the Shadows because without the Evolve, without the Shadows, then it's not very good. You can see her being played in an Evolve Shadow deck because she evolves and does a cool thing. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if she's better than Lady Grey at the moment. But Lady Grey rotates out, so maybe she'll replace her later. Now we're moving on to Bloodcraft. So Bloodcraft, 8 play point 6/7, Spawn of Exile. This gives you nightmares back to the Wonderland Dream days of Spawn of the Abyss. This guy's a little bit more tame. He has Accelerate 2, summon a Voice of the Abyss. He has Ambush. If Ambush activates for the follower when attacked, summon 3 Voice Abyss. And when you evolve, it will summon 4 instead of 3. Voice Abyss is these little cute squid things. They're 1/2s with Ambush and Strike. Whenever his follower attacks, give +1 attack on turn. I don't understand why they add this text. What was the point of this the strike keyword if they're just gonna add whenever this follower attacks to the text of the ability? I really don't understand. But whatever. Yeah, it's a cute little squid. It's fine. When it trades well because it gets one attack, so it'll be a 2/2. So it's a nice trading card with ambush. It can also go face, I guess. There's not a lot of buff things on the board effects for Bloodcraft. There's a few, but not that many. Yeah, so like, first thing comes to mind is you play this with the person lion guy who destroys all your followers and turns them into bigger followers and gives them storm. So obviously he sets it up with the ambush, 2 drops, and then he's a pretty big guy himself. So yeah, it's kind of a high roll deck. It requires a lot of setup. Sometimes it's too slow to even work. Also, you can gain storm off Lara. That makes it pretty good. Maybe not as good as other stuff, like I think Succubus and Calamity Curse are much stronger targets for Storm. That's another option. I think it's too slow just to rely on him for his ambush effect. Like, you just play him for 8 and just have his ambush guy sitting there. I feel he's a little too slow for that. And then you have to rely on whatever, like, his effect doesn't really do much other than just give you some dudes. It's not like the spawn of the Abyss, where if the opponent can even remove it, they still get punished because they take damage from phase. This doesn't have that. It just, if it gets removed when it's in ambush, it doesn't really do anything. Next we have the gold Bloodcraft card. Moriana, Shadow Devil is back. This time she's 6 play point, 4/4. I think she was a 4 play point, 3/3 before. Fanfare, Revenge deck for you, gain 2 evolution points. Yeah, that seems good, but you have to have Vengeance, which is not too difficult for Bloodcraft. But it's a payoff really worth it. You already have so many cards in Bloodcraft that evolve themselves and have 0 cost evolves. I don't think you really need to get more evolve points. I think you get enough evolves already. It's not worth playing a 6 play point 4/4. It won't do anything if you don't have Vengeance. Havencraft, we have 1 play point 2/2. Obviously that seems pretty strong. But at the start of your turn, if this follower's attack or defense has not been increased by spell or effect, destroy this follower. So you can't play him on turn 1. You probably can't play him on turn 2. You probably can't play him on turn 3. Maybe you can play him on turn 3. At the end of your turn, if there are at least 2 allied amulets in play, gain +1/+1, so he will be at 1 play point 3/3, and then he'll satisfy his secondary effect, so he won't die. So you can play an amulet on turn 1, you can play an amulet on turn 2, you can play this guy on turn 3, or you can play an amulet on turn 1 and another amulet on turn 2 with him. That would be the high roll. If you have 2 1-cost amulets and him, that's the high roll. And he's balling. You play a 3/3 on turn 2, well setting up the other amulets. That's pretty good. I wouldn't rely on that. Obviously, he can fit into like a Elena Haven deck because Elena Haven will buff him with heals, satisfying the effect. He also works with the hare, the 1-cost bunny in Havencraft that buffs the attack of all 1-drops. He's a 1-drop, so his attack will be buffed, and he'll satisfy his effect. So there's a lot of ways of satisfying the effect. I feel it's kind of hard to abuse this guy. He's obviously seems pretty strong. I wouldn't write him off. I think he's gonna see play for sure. I don't think he really just slots into the best Havencraft deck at the moment. You might have to do a different build or some kind of other shell around him. Or if you have a deck that already is doing these things, then he can just slot into that deck. Good card. Not immediately overpowering, I think. You have the gold Havencraft card, 2 play point 1/4. Saint of Peace. At the end of your opponent's turn, the end is coming. Destroy all followers. Yeah, we've seen this kind of effect before. It's 1/4, so it's pretty easy to remove in the mid game. Early game's a little bit more annoying, but you don't get that much value in early game other than just stalling out your opponent a little bit. Evolve, gain Ambush, which makes it really hard to remove on the Evolve. So if you have to be playing kind of a really slow deck with a slow win con, or win con doesn't require followers, something like a Seraph deck, or Sabaki deck or something like that. Yeah, pretty good effect. Really good with amulets because you can play this and set up amulets and destroy the opponent's board. If like Ellenhaven wasn't the best Haven deck, and if like opponents didn't have a bunch of Storm, then this would be pretty good, but the games end by Storm, and this doesn't affect Storm, so I don't think it's that good right now. Now we have Bloodcraft, 7+1/5/5, Orcus, Unlinked Heart. She has Fanfare choose summon a Lloyd, the android, or Marionette Uno. Whenever a Lloyd, the android, comes into play, give it +2/+2. Whenever Marionette Uno comes into play, summon a Marionette Due. I don't know. And then evolve, transform a puppet in your hand into a Marionette tray. So Lloyd, you didn't know, is a 1/4 with ward, and has to be the first target of enemy spells and effects opponents have. So as long as he's on the board, he's a magnet for all opponents' spells and effects. Uno is a 1/1 with ambush. Duo is a storm, and your turn if this follower combines with an allied Marionette Uno to become a Marionette Tray. Cool. It's just like you just do 3 damage storm. Tray is a storm, can attack 2 times per turn. And last word, summon an Uno and a Duo. So, pretty good card. Cost 6, kind of expensive. So I don't really know if you want to evolve her that often. I think most of the time, currently, you'll be using her for Lloyd. I can't really see the 3 damage face being that good. Unless you're like really aggressive and are able to get that damage in. But as Portalcraft, I don't really see that. Portalcraft just wants to stall and play Misha. That's really the whole deck. So I really can't see that being played there. I mean, outside of that, like maybe potentially there's some kind of aggressive, like puppet deck, but I think it's just better to play in a Misha Lashana deck, and you play for Lloyd to stall. The 3/6 body you get that absorbs spells and effects is pretty good. It's not as good as the old Orcus, I think. Old Orcus could heal you as well, which was really nice. This one doesn't heal you, but it costs 1 less, which is pretty big. Yeah, I think it's strong. Goes into your Lashana deck. I don't think the Storm is that useful at the moment. And we have Veer, Doll Slayer, 2+1/2 with Bane. Pretty good. Whenever an allied puppet comes into play, if you have at least 2 play points, use 2 play points and transform it into a Doll Slayer. Last words, transform random Doll Slayer into a Veer Doll Slayer. Okay. Yeah, so the Doll Slayer has ambush. And it won't do. So, interesting card. You have to have 2 play points to do that, so you can't really do it right away if you play this on curve. On curve, it just kind of trades with it. Opponent's 2-drop. It's really good against like 1/3s and 1/4s, but it just still dies to 2/2s. On turn 4, you can get this and Doll Slayer if you have a puppet in your hand, so you have to have generated a puppet earlier. Later in the game, it just dies to everything, so I think in the mid game, this is most powerful. We can use the Bane and maybe clear something bigger. Put something like a Dollstar on the board. It's kind of nice. Late game, everything clears this. It's just not an issue. I'm not sure if this card's good enough because it's just like okay in the really early game, decent in the mid game, and pretty bad in the late game. So I don't know. And last card we have is Hamzah, Hallowed Foul, 3 play point 3/3. Fanfare: if an enemy follower is in play, change his follower's attack and defense to X and Y. X and Y equal the attack and defense of a random enemy follower. You can't target. So again, if they have like a 1/1 and like a 20/20 on board, you might get the 1/1. That's just how he rolls. So unlike the old Hamzah was a 2 play point 0/2 or something like that. 2/2, I don't forget. But he can change his attack to a targeted enemy attack. This guy random makes him weaker in that sense, but you also get the defense. So the opponent just played one big thing, then he just copies that, and you can evolve over it. Because he's always had more stats on the Evo. And it costs 3, so you can do other things that turn. I don't think you can really play him. There's not really any reason to play him, aside from the opponent is playing a deck that has really big followers, and you know they're playing one at a time. There's ways of getting him Storm as well, but it requires the opponent having a big follower. So let me know what you think about this review format. I'm not going with numbers, I'm just going over my thoughts. I think the number is pretty arbitrary at this point. A lot of these cards may or may not see play, because people will figure out ways of doing it. I think cards that are guaranteed to see play are Honored Front Guard General, Devoted Knight, and Destiny Wing Knight, I think. Oh, and Orcus. Those cards are probably going to definitely see play. But generally, the power level of this mini mini expansion seems pretty weak. But that's because we're comparing it to what we currently have, and what we currently have is just really, really, really strong. So it's hard to compare to what we already have. So don't be too disappointed. I hope they tone down some other cards in some kind of patch in the future, so we can have a more balanced game. But this is what we have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.